Hello and a very warm welcome back to Reading 100 Classics. Thank you so much for joining me again today. We are about to dive into a story that is just raw, powerful, and honestly as relevant today as it was 400 years ago.
We're going to be exploring the masterpiece of psychological drama that is William Shakespeare's tragedy, Othello.
So, let me ask you something. Have you ever put your absolute 100% faith in someone only to have a single, tiny, poisonous seed of doubt planted in your mind, and then just watched as it grew and started to destroy everything? That terrifying feeling, that vulnerability, that is the heart of Othello.
So here's how we're going to break this all down. We'll start with the prelude to the tragedy, setting the stage with love and doubt. Then we'll ask the big question: how is a pure love like this actually destroyed? We'll watch as jealousy just completely devours reason, leading to the tragic end and what we call catharsis. And finally, we'll unpack the truly great insight Shakespeare leaves us with.
All right, let's set the scene. You know, every great tragedy doesn't start with chaos. It starts with a world that looks, well, pretty stable on the surface. But it's an order that is just waiting for one little push to send it all tumbling down.
First, let's meet the key players in this devastating game. At the very center, you have Othello, a celebrated general, a true hero. He's married to the beautiful Desdemona, who literally defied her entire family to be with him. But their world is surrounded by complications. There's Iago, Othello's ensign, simmering with resentment. We have Cassio, Othello's loyal but kind of naive lieutenant. And then there's Roderigo, a heartbroken suitor who becomes the perfect clueless pawn in Iago's cruel game.
And the conflict? Oh, it ignites right from the get-go. Othello and Desdemona's secret marriage immediately creates tension and enemies. This gives the bitter Iago the perfect opening to manipulate everyone, using his own professional jealousy and Roderigo's broken heart. From the very first scene, this dark alliance is formed, and its one and only target is Othello.
And this brings us to the most painful question of the entire play. How on earth could a love so genuine, so pure, be so completely and utterly destroyed? This isn't just about the plot. It's about being forced to watch something beautiful get systematically taken apart, piece by piece.
You see, the real heartbreak of Othello isn't just the ending, it's the journey there. We, the audience, get a front-row seat to watch a love that broke racial and social barriers get systematically poisoned by pure malice. The tragedy is that we know the truth. We know Desdemona is innocent, but the characters are blind, and we are completely helpless to stop the train wreck we see coming.
And this right here, this is the key to Othello's downfall. He's a celebrated general, yes, but he's always an outsider. He's valued for what he can do for Venice, not for who he is. And that creates this deep, gnawing social insecurity, a crack in his armor that Iago is about to exploit with surgical precision.
So let's really get inside his head for a minute. What kind of psychological weight is this man carrying? Well, there's the constant anxiety of being a foreigner, of being the other. There's this powerful element of internalized racism, this quiet nagging fear deep down that maybe he isn't truly worthy of a Venetian noblewoman like Desdemona. He's also older than her, which adds another layer of anxiety. All of this basically combines into a textbook case of imposter syndrome. Outwardly, he's this powerful, confident general, but inside there's a little voice whispering, how could someone like her ever truly love someone like you?
And into that fertile ground of insecurity steps Iago. Now, Iago is not your average villain. He is a master puppeteer, an architect of ruin. His motivation seems clear at first. He was passed over for a promotion. But it runs so much deeper than that. He seems to possess this profound, almost motiveless malice. He hates Othello's goodness, he hates his happiness, he hates his love for Desdemona, and he is absolutely determined to burn it all to the ground.
And his plan is just brilliant in its cruelty. Step 1, get Cassio drunk and ruin his reputation. This isolates Othello from his most trusted friend. Step 2, use Desdemona's own kindness against her by convincing Cassio to beg her for help. Step 3, twist those innocent conversations, framing them as a secret affair. And the final, devastating move? He uses a simple, ordinary object, a handkerchief, as the absolute concrete proof that will push Othello right over the edge.
The poison has now been administered, and we can only watch as it takes hold, as we see jealousy completely devour a great man's reason.
This is where the play becomes a chilling commentary on the fragility of the human mind.
Othello is a man who commands armies with logic and strategy, but he is completely, totally undone by emotional warfare. It's a timeless warning. Our deepest insecurities can be turned into weapons against us, and they can overwhelm everything we think we know. And at the very center of this psychological breakdown is this small piece of cloth. The handkerchief isn't just a handkerchief. It was Othello's first gift to Desdemona. In his mind, it's woven with history, maybe even magic. It is the ultimate symbol of their love, of her purity, of her faithfulness. For Othello, losing that handkerchief is the same as losing Desdemona's love itself, and Iago understands this symbolic power perfectly.
And here comes the tragic twist of fate that seals everyone's doom. Desdemona, being caring and innocent, accidentally drops the handkerchief. Iago's own wife, Emilia, finds it. And, just wanting to please her difficult husband, she gives it to him, having no idea of the monstrous plan she's just enabled. Iago now has his physical proof. All he has to do is plant it in Cassio's room and let Othello's poisoned mind do the rest.
And you can just hear the poison dripping from Iago's own words. Listen to how he twists logic here. He's basically saying to Othello, it's unnatural for her, a beautiful Venetian woman, to love you. It's against nature. Eventually, she'll go back to her own kind. He is weaponizing racism and class, aiming his words directly at Othello's deepest, darkest fears.
And the result is, well, it's a terrifying transformation. At the start of the play, Othello says he would stake his very life on Desdemona's faithfulness. By the end, that incredible love has curdled into this cold, twisted, murderous logic. He actually convinces himself that killing her is an act of justice. He goes from being her loving protector to her executioner.
So all the pieces are in place. The monster of jealousy has been fully unleashed, and this tragedy is now hurtling toward its inevitable, absolutely heartbreaking conclusion.
And here it is, the point of no return. Completely blinded by rage, absolutely convinced of a lie, Othello smothers the woman he loves more than his own life. It is one of the most brutal and devastating moments in all of literature, because we know she is completely, utterly innocent. Even her last words are spent trying to protect him from blame. And then, just moments after the horrible deed is done, the truth comes crashing in. Horrified by what she's seeing, Iago's wife, Emilia, finally defies him and reveals everything. The whole web of lies, the truth about the handkerchief, the illusion shatters in an instant. But it is far, far too late. Faced with the unbearable reality of what he has done, that he has murdered his pure, loving wife based on the lies of a man he called honest Iago, Othello simply cannot live with himself. The weight of his guilt is absolute. After one last, powerful speech where he tries to make sense of who he was and what he's become, he kills himself, falling on the bed next to his innocent wife. So after all that horror, what are we left with? Well, two really important things. First, there's a powerful warning. Iago's evil plan works, but it also destroys him. He's exposed and dragged away to be tortured. Malice, the play tells us, is ultimately a self-destructive force. And second, we experience something called catharsis. It's this idea that by watching this awful tragedy unfold, the audience goes through a kind of emotional cleansing. We feel pity for Othello's downfall and fear that we too could be vulnerable, and we walk away with a deeper, if sadder, understanding of human nature.
But after 4 centuries, why does this play still have such a hold on us? What is Shakespeare's ultimate, lasting insight here?
It's a really important question. I mean, the basic plot is a story of jealousy and murder. We've all seen stories like that 1,000 times before. So what makes Othello so different? What makes it a timeless masterpiece that still feels so urgent today?
This really gets to the core of Shakespeare's genius. A lesser writer would have just made this a simple, sensational story. It would be all about the shocking events, the murder, the lies, the suicide. The story would just be about what happened.
But Shakespeare was always obsessed with the why. The reason Othello still hits us so hard isn't the plot. It's the incredibly deep dive into human psychology. The real story isn't about what happens on the outside, but about the internal conflicts, the fatal flaws, and the agonizing struggles that make it all happen.
It's like a psychological perfect storm. You have Othello's deep-seated insecurity, Desdemona's unwavering purity, and Iago's terrifying cunning, and they're all perfectly intertwined. Each character's essential nature pushes the others towards their doom. It makes the tragedy feel not just shocking, but terrifyingly inevitable.
And that's why, in the end, Othello is so much more than just a tragedy of love and betrayal. It is a profound, timeless exploration of the fault lines that exist in the human soul. It shows us how easily love can curdle into hate, how trust can be used as a weapon, and how a truly great man can be brought down not by an army on a battlefield, but by a single poisonous whisper in his ear. That is why, 400 years later, this tragedy is still breathing, still alive, and still telling us some very uncomfortable truths about ourselves.
I'll be back again soon to explore another insightful classic with you. Until then, thank you for joining me, take care, and goodbye for now.